17, 18, 10 for the closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Bailey, seconded by Ms. Boyd. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. All right. So next is the agenda.
Recommend the board approve the agenda as presented.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Kay, seconded by Mr. Bailey. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And the approval of the minutes. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 5th, 2018 regular school board meeting? Any changes or discussion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Miller-Richards, seconded by Ms. Boyd. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do we need to vote on that? Do we need to? Oh, no, there it is, okay. Okay, so next we have the word of the month from Lafayette, our favorite part of the meeting.
Good evening, Chairwoman Ream, school board members, Dr. Melton, and all of our wonderful scholars and guests today. We are excited. Lafayette gets to present tonight our performing arts students, and they will be presenting the word of the month, caring, this evening. This group has a variety of 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So tonight you will hear from Tianshe Cole, Soraya Payne, Taylor Adgerson, Genesee Arias, Mary Claire Hart, Rose Rolden, Sophia Coulon, Addison Oaks, and Nadia Shalaby. So we'd like to welcome them up. And of course, these scholars are led by none other than our legendary music teacher, Mrs. Clintina Hankerson.
We are so happy that we have the word caring for the word of the month. This is easy for us because at Lafayette we are expected to display caring for our peers every day.
That's right. Our goals in 2018 are to do 3 things each day: be responsible, be respectful, and be caring. So you see, we know a lot about caring since we try to live it every day.
According to the dictionary, caring means to be concerned about or inclined to be helpful. We would like to perform a song that describes this perfectly. We will now sing, "Put a Little Love in Your Heart."
Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know we won't let hatred grow, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the
you, Lafayette. That was very nice. Next, we have the VSBA Employer Commendation Program recognition. Yes.
Okay. So every January, the Virginia School Board Association offers an employee commendation program, and it provides school board members with the opportunity to thank their employers for providing the support and encouragement that is often needed to perform school board duties. These awards serve to remind the employers that school board service is an essential and demanding avocation. It encourages constructive dialogue concerning local education topics. The awards also reinforce the employer's existing commitment to school board service, and it encourages other employees to consider participating in the educational process or to lend their support to those who do. This year, we are pleased to announce that one of our teachers, Dawn Shelley, an employee of Fredericksburg City Public Schools and a member of the Spotsylvania County School Board, submitted our superintendent, Dr. David Melton, to the VSBA for recognition of his support for local school board work and for the public school students in our community. We would like to thank Dr. Melton for reinforcing our employees' commitment and her service as a school board member by allowing the opportunity to participate in school board activities and training programs.
Black History Art and Essay Contest winners from Hugh Mercer.
Congratulations, Dr. Melton. Chairperson Ream, board members, Dr. Melton, families, and friends. In February, we have our biggest assembly event of the year. We have our African American Assembly, followed by our Black History Month luncheon. We always recognize an illustrious member of the community. This is just an aside, but I do want to say we recognized Dr. Catlett this year, and it was a great event. Also at that event, we recognize the hard work of our children. And we have an essay contest during Black History Month, and we have 3 winners we'd like to recognize tonight. In kindergarten, we had Caroline Obert. Caroline is the daughter of Mr. Nicholas Obert and Mrs. Katie Obert, who's a first grade teacher at Hugh Mercer. Caroline is in Miss Cheney's class. Is Caroline here this evening? I know Mom was absent today, so I understand. But let's give her a round of applause anyway. Our first grade winner was Malaysia Williams. Malaysia is the daughter of Ms. Lenora Curry, and her teacher is Ms. DeGiacomo. Malaysia, I believe I saw Malaysia earlier. Yeah, there she is. Come on up, Malaysia. Good job. And they were awarded books and certificates at the assembly. Got it. Good job. Congratulations. And our second grade winner was Simran Shetty, and Simran, is the daughter of Mr. Karam Shetty and Ms. Rhea Shetty. Her teacher is Ms. Hudson. Simran, come on up. Congratulations. Good job and congratulations. Thank you.
Good evening once again. Lafayette is very proud to congratulate 2 of our scholars, and these scholars are top 3 they have gotten in the Black History Essay Contest. First, we'd like to bring up a scholar you've already seen tonight, and she was one of our performers. She got 3rd place, and this is in the state of Virginia, and we're very proud of her. That's Nadia Shalaby. She's in 5th grade, daughter of Sam and Shalaby and Nina Ahmed. So, Nadia, congratulations. Also in 2nd place, we have our 5th grade scholar, and we're very proud of him, DJ Johns. He's with us tonight, and he is the son of Mr. Danye Johns Sr. I'd like to bring up Dr. Wyatt from Walker Grant Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. I have the pleasure of recognizing one of our 8th grade scholars who participated in the all-district band under the direction of Mrs. Reba Ortiz. This 8th grade student participated back in February at Brook Point High School, and she played the clarinet. Please help me congratulate 8th grade scholar Lauren Kabza. She is the daughter of Mr. Christopher Kabza and Mrs. Jennifer Kabza. Congratulations, Lauren. Please welcome Dr. Rochelle to the podium.
Good evening, Chairperson Ream, board members, Dr. Melton, families, and friends. At this time, I'd like to recognize our Optimist Club Student of the Month. Each month, our faculty members are asked to nominate a member of our senior class for recognition. The purpose of the award is to recognize students for their efforts in arts, athletics, academics, and community service work. I am pleased to recognize the following senior who has been selected as the Optimist Student of the Month for March: Justin Logan, son of Mr. Victor Logan and Mrs. Wendy Logan. Congratulations. At this time, I'd like to recognize our indoor track champions, coached by Ms. Tammy Clark. Eva Kerr, daughter of Mr. Christopher Kerr and Mrs. Beatrice Kerr, Region 3B, 3,200 meter champion and member of the champion 4x800 relay team. Eva, is she out? Is she? Okay. Lila Kobe, daughter of Mr. Damian Kobe and Mrs. Mary Elise Kobe, Region 3B champion in the 4x800 relay. Congratulations. Leah Stinchcomb, daughter of Mr. Matthew Stinchcomb and Mrs. Holly Stinchcomb, Region 3B champion in the 4x800. Congratulations. Carrie Stinchcomb, daughter of Mr. Matthew Stinchcomb and Mrs. Holly Stinchcomb, Region 3B champion in the 4x800 relay. Congratulations. The 4x800 relay team also earned all state honors by finishing 4th in the state meet, improving their previous time by 35 seconds. Wow. That's worthy of. Next, I'd like to recognize Alexis Clark, daughter of Mr. Stacy Clark and Ms. Tammy Clark. Alexis is a Region 3B shot put champion and Class 3 VHSL state champion. This is Alexis's 9th state championship, and she will represent James Monroe in the New Balance Nationals. She is ranked 4th in all age groups in the United States. Congratulations. Jenny Barringer, daughter of Mr. Charles Barringer and Mrs. Jessica Barringer, Region 3B champion in the 300, 500, and 1,000 meter. Jenny was the state runner-up in the 500 meter and earned All-State in the 1,000 meter by placing fourth. Her time in the 500 qualifies her to compete in the New Balance Nationals and ranks her fifth among freshmen in the United States. Congratulations. Terrence McKenzie, son of Mr. Loxley McKenzie and Mrs. Nicole McKenzie, Region 3B champion in the 1,000 meter. Didn't see Terrence, but we will recognize him. Thank you.
All right, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you all for coming. Anyone who would like to stay is welcome to, but we'll have a brief pause for anyone who would like to leave.
You'll be missing the talk about the budget. Always campaigning. They did really well, and their diction was really good. I mean,
Ones we had. He'd probably remember.
All right. Next, we have hearing of citizens. Next, we have hearing of citizens. Are there any citizens who would like to speak?
Mrs. Ream, we have the public hearing next.
Public hearing before the
Before the citizens,
Before the
sorry,
regular hearing.
sorry. Now we have the public hearing on the 2018-2019 school operating budget, the special grants budgets, and the capital improvements plan with budgets. Any citizens wishing to speak, state your name and address for the record. We also ask that your comments be limited to 3 minutes or less. Is there anybody who would like to speak about the budget? All right, there being no citizens wishing to speak, I declare the public hearing portion of the meeting is closed. Now we have citizen comments. Is there anybody who would like to speak on any other topic? Okay. All right, moving on. Move on to Head Start approvals. Nope.
Recommend the board approve the consent agenda, which includes Head Start approvals, VSBA business honor roll, and that's it.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Opposed?
well, we'd like to recognize,
Oh, business.
yeah, for the Virginia School Board Association each year encourages each school district to recognize businesses in their community that contribute in a meaningful way to the school system. And this year, we are recognizing BizNets.
Thank you, Barb.
Do we have anything else that we'd like to say about them? They are a BizNets, a strong supporter of our.
This wouldn't be the first time we've recognized BizNets, but they have been lifesaver to Mike and all of us many times, and were very instrumental in the technology that's in this building.
And there will be a formal recognition. The SBA is going to provide a certificate once this nomination goes in.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll
That's what I was
invite,
looking
we'll invite them to the meeting.
That's what I was like, what? All right.
Okay. So next for personnel items.
Recommend the board approve the personnel list as presented.
May I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation? Moved by Mr. Bailey,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Boyd. Any discussion? All right, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Miller-Richards,
Yes.
Mrs. Ream,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Mrs. Boyd,
Yes.
Mr. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Kay.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries unanimously. On to the budget.
And that's our only personnel item on the agenda this evening. It's just the personnel report.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we have the approval and the adoption of the school division operating budget and special grants budget for 2018-19 and the capital improvements plan and budgets for 2019 through 2023.
Yes, I recommend that the 2018-19 operating and special grants budget be approved as presented in the amounts of $44,972,812 and $5,376,277 at this time, along with the capital improvements plan and budgets for 2019 to 23, and that the budgets be forwarded to City Council. I would also like to bring to the attention of the board that this request is approximately $300,000 less than what we presented to you in February, which would require an increase in the city for the operating budget of approximately $850,000 rather than $1,132,000.
So now that figure is
It's $849,000, it's in your budget documents, $849,000, I'm sorry, and some change. And that's due to a little bit firmer quote on health insurance, though it didn't go down as low as we had hoped it would. Also want to make the board aware that this request to the city covers the personnel that we requested in the budget, which is 5 positions. It also covers a 2% salary increase, and it also covers the school board's share of the health insurance increase.
And this is available on the website?
It will be after you approve it.
Okay.
We can have it up tomorrow.
Quick question. On the capital improvements budget, can that be changed as we move forward, or are we locked in at what we're voting on tonight?
You can always change it. It's probably, most likely it's going to be amended by the city anyway.
Well, I mean, as a year, I mean, we're saying 19 to 20.
Oh, it's
23.
changed every
Right,
year.
that's what I thought.
Yes.
I just wanted to confirm
Yes.
that. Thank you.
Can we ask questions now? I mean, is this?
Sure.
Okay. I really like the breakdown that we have on the second page, you know, where it's like the division profile. I had one question about that, though. We have teachers, 294, and then under that, we have administrative and support staff. So are we, like, that's all the administrators? What is lumped in that?
Everybody but teachers, pretty much. Yeah. Paraprofessionals, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, custodians, clerical.
I think it's safe to say certificated staff in the one section, and then admin and support staff in the other.
All of their duties as assigned.
Well, that's a lot to kind of like lump. I just wondered if maybe we could get a little bit of a breakout on that next time we do it. Not, you know, just it's a lot to lump in to one area, and it doesn't tell us, like, you know, how many paraprofessionals or how many, you know, like what that means really. You know, how many administrators, how many paraprofessionals, how many, that kind of thing.
Well, historically, we've been able to contact you, and, you know, because I don't want it to get too, I like it being summarized for board. When you start breaking it out, then it gets too busy, and you tend, as a board, when you're looking at policy and the bigger picture, you get too much in the details, and I've always, and like you.
Right.
Because I am a numbers person, there are times I do want to get down to that level, but I call Mr. Baker, and he gladly shares any of that detail. So, you know, before, I kind of understand it, like the way it is, like you said,
Right.
but when we start opening it up, then it's going to be more than one page all of a sudden.
We can give you 50 pages.
Right, and that's what I don't
Right.
want.
No, I don't
No,
want.
we don't
50
want that.
pages
Break it
either.
down
I just
by-
thought that was kind of like it was a weird combination.
Yeah, but we've always reported it that way. I mean,
Okay.
The
For
schools
whatever
always break it
reason
down
today
as
it's just like-
certificated and non-certificated staff.
Yeah, no.
Well, you know, maybe we should hear from other board members in terms of.
Well, I think
rather
for the purposes of this report, you don't want it here, but if you want it for some other reason,
Yeah.
then we
I
can
agree.
have it separate from this. But for this report, I think you want to leave it just like it is.
It's not a problem getting,
that information.
No, and yeah.
I mean, we can have that for you at 8:15 in the morning.
That's what I know.
Or Mr. Russ probably knows, Dr. Russ probably knows it off the top of his head.
Do you?
Mr. Baker might tell you when you get.
You'd probably have to ask Ms. Brady to get the information for him.
Okay.
All right, is there any other discussion? Are you ready to vote? May I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Boyd, seconded by Mr. Bailey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion passes unanimously.
Actually,
Turned off again.
I know this is out of order. I just had a comment on that, and we had the Carl D. Perkins grant in there, and that's $55,000. And I just wanted people to know that although, you know, we've talked a lot about expanding career and technical education, that's the only federal money we get for that, yes?
And it's a cut of 33% over what we received last year.
So I just want people to you know, it's not for lack of want that we're not like expanding career and technical $55,000 doesn't cover a teaching position. So, and we were fighting for that last month when I was not here. That was one of the areas that we were talking to our senators and congresspeople about supporting so that we could continue with the Carl D. Perkins grant. And that is, for us, $55,000. I mean, $55,000. So, yeah.
Yep, that's right.
So
Yes.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. All right, next we have our information items, beginning with a presentation on safety procedures. Mr. Russ and Mr. George.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair Ream, Dr. Melton, board members and guests. This topic, school safety and security, is a hot topic right now, as you all know, and unfortunately for some horrible reasons. But as we go through this, most information items we go through and ask you to hold your questions to the end. And if we don't ask you that, that is normally what we do. But please, as we go through this, if you have questions, please ask us now. Board members, staff members, parents, students are all trying to get this same information, so please let us know if you have questions. I have to give credit to Mike George. This presentation, this PowerPoint was created by Mike. And now if it doesn't go smoothly, I can blame him. But there are a lot of people putting a lot of time into the safety and security of our students. There's not one person in this division that does not have the safety of our kids, number one, above test scores, above happy teachers, above happy parents. The safety of our kids, as with most schools that I know, is number one. So let's keep that in mind. And I do want to make a quick comment. Thank you to parents that have been patient with us patient with the new procedures we have in place, and we'll talk about these now. But it has been a fairly smooth transition with a lot of people moving parts in the same direction. For our crisis management, luckily, and we are blessed that we are on the prevention and the preparedness section of this action wheel. You can go ahead, Mike. And if I have, okay. Some of the things we've done at the buildings recently, we have the new A-phone system installed at the main entrance of all of our buildings. Prior to this past weekend before last, we had the A-phone system at all of our buildings, but we've added it to James Monroe and at Lafayette. So now all visitors have to show they have to request to come in by pressing a button. And then the people inside can look out and see who is there, can ask what business do you have coming in. And I don't mean that in a bad way. We want to know why they're there. That system also allows us to take a photo of each person who comes in front of that. And if we need to go back and retrieve that later, we can. And we are currently in the process of purchasing a visitor management software program at each building. You may have been into buildings before where you're asked to present your driver's license. They stick your license in a reader. Visitor's badge is printed out with your photo on it. That is what we're looking at and we'll have installed soon. That information is not just taking a picture and putting it on the visitor's badge. If I walk into that school and I hand my license and I have alerts or some record that would keep me from coming into a public school building, that information will come up. It alerts us if we have banned visitors. If we have student information on there, for instance, this parent should not have contact with this student and so forth, that information can also be put on there as well. Okay? Any questions so far? Pupil personnel. We have school counselors, school social workers, school psychologists that are in place to support students in all of our buildings and in many, many, many facets. This is one sentence, but this collective group of individuals is a huge, huge part of our public school system and our safety and well-being of our students. We currently have, and this is under the direction of Dr. Catlett, a 15-member threat assessment protocol committee. What this committee has done to this point, I was witness to the request being made, let's form this committee and let's move this direction. Dr. Catlett had that, I was thinking 2 or 3 days out. Dr. Catlett had the meeting that day, agenda planned, items in place already. And the main thing this committee is doing is looking at all of our threat assessments in each building. And we want to make sure division-wide we are doing our threat assessment protocols, whether it's how we notify people, who we notify, when do we meet, when do we have a threat assessment. Dr. Catlett is ensuring that this is a division-wide initiative and all schools are on board using the same plan. But it is going smoothly. And can you back up just a second, Mike? I just want to point out the people that are on it. We have principals, school resource officer, there are school psychologists and counselors from each building, and there's also central office directors. So it covers all parts of Fredericksburg City Schools, each of our buildings, each of our departments. Okay. You've probably seen, if you've been in a classroom, the Orange Crisis Emergency Management Plan. This was updated in 2015, the procedures and the language. This consists of, you could go ahead to the next one, the drills we do. All students and staff participate in safety drills throughout the year, whether it's a fire drill, lockdown, evacuation procedures. as with every division, probably in the country now, there's more and more attention being paid to this. So that is in our plan, in our crisis management plan, and we are always updating that, seeing if there's ways to improve it, seeing if there's areas we need to move around, take it to a different area. But it is being looked at, assessed, and if we need to change it, we will. Okay? We're currently in the process of beginning to install cameras inside Hugh Mercer. I think our plan, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking to add, or we are in the process of adding approximately 40 cameras inside the building. We already have cameras outside. But once those cameras are installed, all of our buildings will have surveillance footage that we can retrieve from all the inside and outside of our buildings. Again, inside and out. And this isn't because Mrs. Tinkersley just started asking for these interior cameras. She's been battling for this for a while, but it's coming now. And one thing I do want to point out, we have a partnership with our police department that is second to none. These guys, ladies and gentlemen, they want to be a part of our safety plan for Fredericksburg City Schools. We have ongoing resource officer at James Monroe. And if we need his support in another place or in another category or to serve on Dr. Gallett's committee, he is more than willing to do that. We have a great collaboration between the Fredericksburg Public Schools and the police department on training and safety procedures. And if they need to make a suggestion to us, they will do that. And if we're doing something we should be doing differently, they will let us know that too. And they don't just tell us, they offer their assistance in saying this is how we can make this better, or what do you need from us, what can we do? The threat assessment procedures, they are a part of that. And there's training, they're always pushing out to us and say, hey, you may want to have your administrators look at this. You may want to go to this training. And then they do have access to our security cameras at their dispatch, so that is a plus for us. That will be Hugh Mercer too, as soon as they're up, as soon as those cameras are up.
So they can look at all the video footage that's being collected throughout the buildings?
Live, yeah, they have live access to all the security cameras.
Okay. And then a program, a software program you're going to hear more about is Navigate Prepared. This is I guess a web-based software program. We're in the planning, purchasing, installing phase with Navigate Prepared. There is a ton of information we can store on this program, we can retrieve from this program. Everything you see on the screen, and I'm not going to read it to you, but all of these things that are listed, this is not the entire program. If I'm an administrator, I can use it as a training tool, and I could go up to any teacher and say, please read this scenario, tell me how are you going to handle this situation. And this is a program that you can have on a smartphone, on an iPad, on a desktop. You can store your class list. You can have your emergency evacuation plan, floor plans. And these floor plans aren't just, this is what the building looks like from the top. They have emergency shutoff valves for water, emergency shutoff valve locations for gas. There's a lot to this program. I've seen one presentation. We're having another one tomorrow, but there's more to it than I can even stand here and tell you about too. But it is a virtual safety. I'm not going to call it a procedure. Warehouse, if you will, that offers a lot of information. We're going to be learning a lot about it as we move through the next day or two.
Do they do some kind of safety audit, so that they like the software, the Navigate Prepared, do they come and like walk through your school and say, wow, like you don't want to be here, or you want to keep students here?
To the point that in that program, once they've installed it, you will be able to see a 360-degree recording of every room in our division. So on the floor plan, you can walk into Mrs. Brady, the kindergarten teacher's classroom, and it will give you a 360 virtual tour of that classroom, and that's every classroom in the building. We have an audit we go through that's, I guess, FEMA based from the state of Virginia. We have a safety audit we have to go through every year. I drive principals crazy early in the summer that we have to meet these deadlines, and they have been phenomenal. They all have it done on time, ahead of time. But I think through the state of Virginia, we take care of the audit. Now, can this program do that? Yeah, it will help us when we start our audit program for the year.
I think it will be a tool for us to complete the safety audit that's required by the state, which was, as Dr. Russ just mentioned, is a statewide required activity that's very specific in what you're looking for, and it was and is developed by, I believe, by FEMA, as we said. And it may have also been FBI and
Homeland Security.
Yeah. So it's pretty extensive, and it's not. I've been through it and done it, and it's not something you just walk around the building and take notes. I mean, it's page after page after page, so it's very extensive. It has to be done every year.
The thing I really like, are you really Dr. Russ yet? You are? I cannot
For about 3 or 4 hours.
First of all, I can't believe your boss made you give a big presentation tonight after having defended
He
you.
defended
I know.
at 2 o'clock.
Can you hear it in my voice?
At 6.
It's just hardcore. But
Thank you.
back to the issue at hand. What I really like about the Navigate stuff is we have pretty extensive emergency preparedness plans, but in a true emergency, are those very accessible? That this is all online now, so that they can, you could have fire and rescue pulling up on a phone or an iPad or something, what the layout of our building is. So the accessibility of that information.
Right. Having a class list in your back pocket. Because if there's an emergency and I'm teaching a class, I'm not going to run back over to pick up the emergency bag. I'm getting out.
Right.
But they'll have access to that.
So will the Fredericksburg City Police. They're coming in tomorrow for the presentation. Navigate Prepared is coming to talk to us tomorrow. So the police department will have the same access to this application that all of our teachers and everybody.
How is that access controlled? Is it controlled? So, for example, it's great that the police and everybody, the fire department, teachers have access to it, but is it going to be accessible to somebody who wants to figure out how to get into the school and circumvent no. So it is controlled?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't know how
I can't
yet.
tell you how.
Mike could probably
Maybe Mike
tell us. But that's why.
I don't need to know how, I just, that's the first thing I think
We
of
don't
is
want to know.
somebody.
We don't want to know.
And the other piece is it really will kind of do away with the hard copy of the management plan, because that will be, rather than you rifling through your desk and trying to find out what you're supposed to do on a bomb threat, it will be right at hand.
We have just one SRO, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
And that's primarily a budgetary decision on the police department?
It was a budgetary. We used to have 2. We had one at the middle school and one at the high school. But yes, it was a decision based on funding made by the city, not by us. Yes.
Is there any way, we're fortunate that we have both law enforcement through the Fredericksburg City Police, and we have the Sheriff's Department here. Is there any way to get SRO support through the Sheriff's Office?
Let me take a shot at it. We've tried that, but they didn't have the personnel money to actually give us an officer as well. But if I may add, we've had some very productive meetings in the last 10 days with the police department. There will be members of the police department here tomorrow. I expect, I don't know if Chief Nye is going to be here, but Captain Layton will be here. And we've bounced around some ideas. I learned that there are 85 officers in the city, the majority of which have never stepped foot in any building. So we've come up with a plan that 2 to 3 officers at a time will come to the school and do walkthroughs at the school to become familiar with the schools. We're looking into all of our buildings now with the new access system. You can't get in unless you have a badge. We're looking at providing badges for the police department, so in an emergency, they can get right into the building. We're looking at monthly meetings. The principals don't know this yet, but the principals will be coming to meetings with the police chief and their upper level, and we'll start off with a sharing of ideas and then getting into more substantive measures. So there are a lot of plans going on right now. Not all of them are finalized. One of the things I don't think Mr. Russ mentioned, Dr. Russ mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the I forget the name of the software program. Okay, so when someone comes in, they have a driver's license, it will immediately look for certain things in a database and can flag certain individuals. Also, it will print out a visitor's pass with their picture on it and keeps logs of who was there, when they were there, so pretty much does away with all the pencil paper stuff.
So I just want to make sure I understand this. So anyone that comes to a school will show their ID. Okay. I would just like to say that it's important that the people who are handling the welcoming of a visitor be the type of person that is warm and welcoming. While I am a very big supporter, I work a couple of miles from the White House, of security, I don't want to lose the element of welcoming our parents into our school system. You may even think of parent IDs at first grade. That lasts 12 years. You get 12 years worth of an ID for a parent. But I would just hate to hear that parents are staying away now because they have to show an ID. We do want them to show an ID, but we want them to feel that they're proud to show the ID because they know that their children are being protected, and they as well will be protected when they come into our environment, as opposed to feeling like they're in prison or something, or they get questioned 100 times about things that may not even be relevant to life. It's just that I've seen the other side of it, and it's not pretty. So I'm very supportive of what you're doing. I just caution us to be very welcoming of all of our parents.
I understand that.
Just in response to that, I've been to, just because of my job, I've been to probably 5 different SWATC Stafford schools within the last couple months. And most of them have that kind of ID system, and they were very welcoming. You know, it wasn't, I didn't feel like, you know, policed at all. I just felt like it was nice security, and they were warm, and they were inviting. And so I think that, you know, and the parents that were there that came in during that time seem to also, they just know the system, you know, like once they get to know it. But I hear what you're saying, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No profiling, no nothing like that. I just don't think that we need to do
The
that.
other, I think that's a great point. I'm glad that you mentioned it. I hadn't thought of that. Because years ago, I did have a complaint from a parent saying it was harder for him to get into one of our schools than it was to go visit. He counseled inmates in jail.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I would,
And our
yeah,
security was tight.
yeah.
But the other thing that I would ask Dr. Melton is that from a staffing point of view, that we keep this, all of these changes in mind at the school level. Things like when Lafayette is having breakfast buddies, that's a lot of traffic in and out of that school, and that we have appropriate staffing so people aren't waiting, or when you've got a parent-teacher night, or at
Honor roll assembly.
honor rolls assemblies and all that, because parents do get pretty grumpy if they've got to show up 30 minutes in.
We're taking all of that into consideration as we roll out these new
Right.
procedures.
Because some of it may require new or additional staff.
Any other questions for Mr. George?
I guess I just, for Mr. George, I would imagine that, the FBI and Homeland Security continue to evaluate and come out with that there are fluid working plans, or they have other ideas. Well, unfortunately, we have more data, so now we think that this is a good thing. So we keep up with that through, they send us.
Usually that comes to us through the Department of Education. They go through the department, and department provides that information to the local school division.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the financial report.
Good evening. The report you have in front of you is year-to-date through January 31st, and on the cover page, it describes a positive variance on the expenditures and on revenues as well. I will say that things are going about as planned. Related to the budget, I just want to jump back just for a second, and we already have the budget on the website, but after tonight, it'll change from proposed, so we'll rework all the documents, every page, including the cover, and then we'll load that back up again, so that'll be out there as soon as we can get it done. Are there any questions as far as the monthly financial report that I can answer for you? No? Okay. Next item.
What's that? Next item? Out-of-district tuition rates.
So on out-of-district tuition, last year we froze the rates, and this year we believe it's prudent to go ahead and raise them a little bit. I will tell you that the amount, while it's absolute dollars, is not a tremendous amount. As far as a percentage, is about just over 4% increase. We'll reassess this every year, and depending on how the economy is doing and how we believe the citizenry is doing as far as income, we'll try to adjust this in the future as well. We have to not only look at their income, but also increase costs that we have for per pupil cost. Are there any questions I can answer about that or comments? All right. Thank you very much. I'll pass it on to the school calendar.
Mr. Ross, Dr. Ross. Busy man tonight.
Before we talk about the school calendar, can I back up to the last presentation we had? I did want to mention that the systems we have in the parent check-in, we're going to also be using that as a Title I parent engagement monitoring system as well. So we'll be able to look at that and see if we want to pull parents who have visited the building in the last week, month, and so forth. We'll be able to do that with that system as well. And because of that, Mrs. Brady, you stop me when I'm saying something I shouldn't. Because of that, Title I funds can be used to help put those items in place.
Can we give parents a report card on their engagement?
Yeah.
We can think about that.
We'll look into it.
Any questions about the school calendar? Overall, I'll say it's very similar to this year's calendar. Some hot topics I know from our faculty and staff is the 2 weeks of Christmas, at Christmas for a holiday break.
And so this isn't quite 2 weeks, right? I thought I looked at it.
10, should be
I
10
thought
days.
I pulled it up when
It's
we.
10 days.
It's 10 days, yeah,
Yeah.
so it is, yeah.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah, it's.
I was like, okay.
Any questions about the calendar?
I will comment that I really like having that Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
We
That's a
tried
good
that
thing.
1 year without.
Also, you probably know by now that the Labor Day bill was defeated in the Senate. They passed the House for the first time that I can ever remember, but the Senate, they didn't defeat it, they passed by until next year, tabled it. So it'll come back up next year.
Remind us what that number is, how many school districts are in Virginia?
There are 75 school districts that get the waiver right now, I recently read, out of 133. So but the waiver, I can't remember exact wording. I think you have to miss an average of 8 days a year for 5 consecutive years, something like that, to
Yeah,
get
it
the
was
waiver. Or be involved in a regional program with other school divisions, and there has to be a certain percentage of your students involved in those regional programs, or a certain percentage of your schools that are.
So if Spotsy got the waiver and we had a certain number of kids going to the vocational technical center.
Or a regional special ed program, or governor's school, or any of those
We
things.
could say we have to follow their schedule because
Yes.
X percentage of our students participate in the regional.
Yes.
Other
The
school-
calendar is here for you tonight to review. We'll bring it back to you for approval. It's been through the Superintendent's Employee Advisory Committee. Employee groups are asked to take it back to their respective employees. That was also reviewed at each building, and we've discussed it at the administrative level.
I know what I was confused about. It's the spring break where we don't get the Friday now.
The Friday before spring break,
Mhm.
yeah.
That was what was, yeah, okay. And that's different.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't-
different. Usually we get
I don't
Good
think-
Friday. We do this year.
We do get Good Friday?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think that was to make that winter.
We get, what, we do what this year?
Good
This year
Friday
we do
off.
get Good Friday off. It's, well, right.
I was going to say, it's a work day. Yeah, it's the end of the grading period.
The students get Good Friday off. So,
We're all about the students.
yes. So that,
Thank you.
Okay, update on, we no longer need to do an update on the joint school board city council committee because it was.
Meeting was canceled
Meeting
due
was
to high
canceled
winds
because
on
of
Friday.
winds. So we will provide you with an update next time after we've had the meeting. All right.
And we've not, it's not been rescheduled. I sent an email to the city manager today, and we haven't set up another meeting yet.
Old business. All right, the VSBA Southwest Hot Topic Conference will be held in Wytheville, March 14th, 2018. This year, attendees will hear how partnerships can support student success. Virginia Department of Education representatives will discuss mental health and creating trauma response in schools. Also will learn about the need for integrating student support, teaching problem solving, and empowerment through traditional hands-on lessons. Anyone would like to attend?
we're not so far away. I would
Right.
love to attend.
I know. I'm contemplating still, but it's a long drive. All right. The Northeast Regional Forum will be held at Manassas Park High School, March 21st.
I'm going.
Oh, good. You're going too? Good. So Ms. Holmes, Dr. Melton, Dr. Catlett, and I, and Ms. Boyd are planning on attending.
Dr. Melton, good.
Didn't I say that?
I would like for us to really represent, we have teachers from Lafayette and Hugh Mercer who will be presenting at that conference on restorative justice. And we will be getting to know our other school board members from the northeastern region better. So I think it's going to be a good presentation. And a lot of the other school divisions from the northeastern region have implemented restorative justice. And so even if we don't, like, we can hear how they did it or what was good, what they would do differently. I think it'll be worth our time. And we get dinner. And they've reduced the price, so
Yeah,
it's very affordable.
So the deadline is next Monday. If you'd like to go. All right. New business, the VSBA Hot Topic Conference. April 17th, Chesterfield Career and Technical Center in Midlothian. We'll hear about how to advance the educational outcome for all students, get an inside look at the national data on equity within education, and creating equity in the world of education. Is there anyone who would like to attend?
I would.
April 17th. That's a what, a Tuesday?
It is.
Okay.
It's tax day.
All right. So the organizational meeting of the school board. So mark your calendar for the regular meeting on July 2nd. This is the meeting which. July 2nd, is that your birthday? All right, we'll celebrate. This is the meeting at which all organizational matters will take place. Does everyone know that they can come? It's our regular meeting.
Okay.
All right, school law conference. For planning purposes, it will be held June 1st. So that's the day before our meeting. In Richmond, details for the conference will be provided when we receive them.
Just going back to the July meeting, that'll be a 4:30 or a 5 o'clock meeting? Or just a regular school board meeting, a regular time? Thank you.
It's not an early meeting.
Okay,
Not at this point.
Okay.
gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. So, during the Capitol Conference, Ms. Holmes met with Delegate Bob Thomas and indicated that he would like to visit our school division.
He indicated?
He did. What he said was that he knew county government and county schools much better because he had been in Stafford, and that he really didn't know city schools as well, and that he would very much like to get to know our schools. And I said, well then, please, come on down.
So it has been scheduled for March 27th. Ms. Holmes and Ms. Boyd will represent the board, and the visit will include James Monroe High School and Walker Grant Middle School with discussions about CTE programs. Good. Stop will also be made at the Walker Grant Center for lunch and information about our food services program. That's a very good thing. Next we have, we'd like to remind everyone that graduation for James Monroe High School class of 2018 will take place Friday, June 8th. So that's a week earlier than typically it's been done. So it's a week before the regular school calendar finishes. And the school board retreat. We need to discuss planning for the school board retreat. We're gonna do it this year with the VSBA in Charlottesville, running it. The possible dates that are available are April 27th, May 11th, and May 18th. So we need to see if we can try and commit to a date as soon as possible. Are there any?
Say that again, April 27th?
April 27th, May 11th, and May 18th. Those are all Fridays. And they're all dates that the VSBA is available.
I think May 18th is better for me. Soccer.
Any other preferences?
No. 18th is good.
May 18th works.
18th is fine. My only concern is that's towards the end of the school year, is our staff jammed up?
Well, yes, but that's as good a time as any. I mean, if we're gonna do it in the spring, you have a limited number of staff, most likely it would just be Dr. Catlett. Unless there's somebody else you wanted there. VSBA is gonna be running the retreat for you.
Right.
We'll-
So that limits the amount of staff.
Yeah.
That we need, okay. All right.
Any other questions? Should we go ahead and schedule it on May 18th? What do you guys?
You wanna get the VSBA to do it,
You should
because
go.
their calendar fills. If there's a consensus that you can be there the 18th, I highly recommend that you decide you're gonna do it on May 18th and let Debbie get that set up with Gina Patterson as soon as possible.
What do you think? Do you guys want to let me know in the next day or two?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you guys can let me know, then we'll pass that along to Ms. Wright. All right, thank you. Good of the order. Do we have any items for good of the order?
James Monroe did a wonderful Rent the musical last weekend. It was fantastic.
Two things. I really appreciate you all's responsiveness to the safety issues. That's comforting. So thank you for that. Number two, Dr. Russ, you and I have talked about this, and I just want to make sure we don't let the discipline piece fall off. I know we got a lot on our plate, and we talked about restorative justice, and Lafayette, I think, has some new programs that we talked about in January. And now that you've mastered the quantitative process for figuring out the correlation of variables and all that good stuff, help us figure out where we are with discipline and how that impacts and correlates to the program. I just want to make sure we
No,
don't.
thank you, because that,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Don't let
Well, the
that fall.
security piece was big and it's taken a lot of
Yeah, right.
staff time and resources, which we support, but we want to make sure that we stay
And
focused
it's
on
not
the right.
urgent, but I just want to make sure that we look at that.
All right. I think that's all. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By Ms. Boyd, seconded by Ms. Miller Richards.
everyone.
By everybody. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. And the meeting is adjourned at 8:38. Yeah.
8:38.